You're listening to episode 25 of the Decorate Like a Design Boss podcast, and I am glad you're here because today I'm talking about how to breathe new life into some pieces of furniture that you already own. I think we're going to have some fun with this topic, so let's get started. Welcome to Decorate Like a Design Boss, a podcast for design lovers who want to create beautiful spaces in their very own homes. My name is Kimberly Grigg, and I'm a professional interior designer who teaches design lovers like yourselves how to decorate. And when I say decorate, I mean decorate like a design boss. If you're ready to create a space that your family loves and your neighbors can't stop raving about, well, buckle up, honey, because it's time to design. Hello there, my favorite design lovers. So glad you're here, and thank you so much for all the ratings, reviews, and follows that you're giving me here on this podcast. That is so encouraging, and I truly, truly appreciate it. I love bringing you this podcast, and I'm so happy to be hearing from you. I also invite you to send in your questions about interior design. I love helping you solve your own design dilemmas, and it's easy and fun for you. So just drop me a line at kimberly@kimberlygrigdesigns.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at kimberlygrigdesigns. Who knows, your question might just appear right here on this podcast. I'll be featuring one such question which prompted this topic for today. So often when you're downsizing, or whether you're moving, or whether you're freshening up your own spaces, you can look no further than your own pieces of furniture in particular, and consider some of these tips and techniques to breathe new life into them. So Paula from Mississippi writes in, I have my grandmother's dining room set. I love it, but I don't want my spaces to feel old ladyish. What can I do to update the pieces so that my dining room doesn't automatically look dated? Well, I love this question, and I can assure you that I'm faced with it all the time. I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and people are moving here from all over the world, but especially up north, and they get here and they've had all of this furniture for all of these years, and they invested heavily in it, and they bring it here only to discover that they want a lighter, fresher look. But they don't know what to do, and they're confused, and they're sort of like, do I just get rid of it all, or can I use these pieces in some way? So trust me when I tell you, I have done all sorts of things when I have a case like this. Sometimes the answer is to get rid of it, but often I've employed one of the techniques I'm going to tell you about to achieve some design success. So, in the case of the dining room table from Paula in Mississippi, Paula, I'd love it if you'd first consider painting the chairs in a high gloss or a lacquer. A coat of white paint or even a color can make those Chippendale or Queen Anne style chairs seem like a really good idea again. I've also slip covered the entire chair, and once I slip covered Chippendale style chairs in a sheer fabric. I reupholstered the seat cushions in a jazzy, beautiful, updated, modern geometric fabric, and the sheer was elegant. It looked like a slip or a dress, but it allowed the cushion to show through. This was super chic. So if you treat the chairs, then you can leave the dining table as it is and add a more modern sculptural style bowl atop of it, and that'll give you an instant update. As for a buffet piece, add a beautiful abstract painting above it, and shazam, you have instant updated beauty. If you happen to have the hutch piece to a set like this, consider moving it to another space in your home and using it as a bookcase. I've also painted them, made a bar out of them. Just consider splitting up the set so it doesn't feel like a set. I love to change the knobs and the hardware on older pieces like this, and I've often wallpapered the back of a hutch. It's a lovely, lovely touch. Another thing I do when repurposing a dining set is, I love to take a mismatch of chairs and use all different ones around a more traditional dining table. Sometimes I paint them a unified color, and sometimes I leave them just as they are and coordinate the upholstery and other items to make it work for your style. You just have to leave them as a mismatched set for a refreshing update. This way, everyone gets their own chair, and that can also be a lot of fun. So, Paula, from this we can glean, number one, a can of paint can be your best friend when updating furniture pieces. So you can select a trending color or one that packs a punch and is instantly fabulous, or you can paint them white. Just depends on what your style is in your home. Secondly, consider new hardware in the form of knobs, hinges, and pulls. And third, mixing old with new is a great idea. Try inserting some modern accents with the existing pieces. This can be both beautiful and interesting. So do you have an old mattress? Consider turning it into a daybed, a simple minimalist frame that you can build, or you can purchase one that can house the new daybed. This can be quite effective when you're converting a bedroom into a home office. Another thing you can do when you're trying to breathe new life into your existing pieces is rethink your placement of your furnishings. Use your pieces in new ways. For example, what if you have a dining table that is never used? Maybe you can reposition it and make it a desk for a home office. Maybe the old unused dining table can become a sofa table or a library table that you use to hold lots of books. Consider using a sofa at a dining table. I once had a client who had a sofa that she loved, but it seemed out of place in her living room where she had just purchased a new sectional to invite family living. I simply moved the sofa that she loved, that was quite beautiful, into her dining room and set it up to be sort of a bench-style seating. And she now says that they as a family finally use their dining table and they all fight over who gets to sit on the sofa for dinner. You can also consider bringing outside sculptural and furniture pieces inside if this fits your style. This also works when you take some pieces outside. There's some protective formulas and finishes like Line-X that you can use to protect these pieces, and actually with Line-X, you will be protecting the furniture forever. Another thing you can do is switch up lamps and accessories with these new furniture placements before you abandon ship. So I like to move stuff around in my own home, and I have to say every now and then I have a bad habit of moving some things around and then not finishing the look and not giving myself a little time for my eye to adjust before I just abandon ship and move it all back. So I once converted my never used dining room into a library room. I have tons and tons of books and I really don't want to part with them. So I thought, I can't stand unused rooms, and I have a really large dining room. I call it the dining hall in another part of my home. So the formal dining room just isn't necessary. So I thought, I'm just going to turn it into a library room. It can house my books. I can go in there and read. It'll be pretty, yada, yada, yada. Well, I got it all moved around, and then I sort of panicked. See, I do this too, and I'm a professional. And I'm not just a professional. I'm a professional of a lot of years. But I panicked and I got all nervous, and I didn't finish by adding the right accessories and the right pieces. And I then painfully just quickly moved it all back into place. Well, I have to say, that dining room is still very unused, and I still wonder if I had just stuck with that whole switch. I think I could have gotten it right and converted this room into a more usable space for us as a family, especially for me. So I don't know. I think pretty soon I might kind of circle back around to this and try this all over again. But this time I'm going to give it a real finish. You can also consider swapping or trading some pieces instead of selling. And yeah, I really mean swapping. There's some groups online like this. You might find some great new treasures, and someone else might really enjoy having some pieces that you no longer love and can use. So what if you're moving into a new space and your draperies aren't long enough? Well, this can be simply solved by adding a contrasting fabric as a border on either the bottom or the top of the existing draperies. This will extend your draperies to the correct length. Maybe your sectional isn't a good fit. In this case, well, consider splitting up the pieces. I once had a client who debated the purchase of her new sectional for months. She pondered and pondered. She had many sleepless nights over this sectional, and mind you, this was all before I was called in. And when it finally came in, it was the size of an elephant, and it just didn't work. She had purchased it in a retail store, and I think the store might have been more concerned with making the sale than whether or not the sofa would actually fit and be facing the right direction with the fireplace. I don't really know everything that happened there. I just know that the sofa felt to her like a disaster. And she called me basically in tears, beating herself up for her large mistake. She wasn't willing financially to replace it, and the store wouldn't take any responsibility for the mishap. I asked her to leave for the day, and I would try and fix it. I moved the entire house of furniture around, but I separated the sectional. She had this family room type space that was rather small. So I took off the end so that the armless part of the sectional would butt right into the wall so that the sectional looked finished. I then took the chaise type piece and put it off to the side facing the TV so that it looked like it was intentional. A small table and floor lamp made this part of the sectional quite charming all on its own, even though it was one-armed. I moved the existing family room sofa into the formal living room, and it fit like a glove. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees because we become so attached to our own ideas, our own things, and our own process. In this case, she was just so sorely disappointed that she couldn't figure it out because she was kind of mad at herself. So breaking up a sectional can lead to many a save on a sofa and many a saved space. Suppose you move to a new home and your bar stools are too tall for your new counter height bar top. Well, this is easy peasy. Believe it or not, you can cut them down. I always use a pro to do this, but I have misordered for clients before, and I've solved the problem in this very way. I have also salvaged stools for clients when helping them plan their new spaces, and I've used this technique to have them fit perfectly. You need a place for a home office but are just out of extra space? Well, use a desk as a nightstand in a bedroom. Just make sure that the other nightstand or table is the same height so that your lamps will be at the same height and your room won't feel off-kilter. You have a scuffed tabletop? Well, top it with a remnant of marble or stone. You can also consider tiling a tabletop for you a unique interesting top. I recently had a client with an antique prayer bench that had been stripped. It was very beautiful, but it had no top. Instead of marbling, I added fabric so that it was almost like an interesting ottoman/coffee table, and I placed it between two little sofas or settees, and it was quite charming. So, what can we learn from today's lesson? I say, don't give up on your old favorites yet. If you have moved or you're just tired of your pieces and feel dated, or if you have a change in your lifestyle, etc., well, if this is happening for you, don't despair. This can simply require us to rethink and repurpose existing furniture. You don't have to start over. You just need a little imagination, and you just need to rethink what you already own. Sometimes you can do this on your own, and sometimes you just need a little consult to pull this off successfully. But some of the most charming and wonderful spaces I have ever been involved with creating have required me to work with some existing pieces. Believe it or not, very few people come to me with an open checkbook and say, get rid of everything I have and let's start over. In fact, I'm not sure that's ever happened. It's a fun, and creative process to rethink what you have, and it's also a good ecological choice. In summary, consider new upholstery, repurposing an old rug and using it for upholstery, changing out hardware and knobs and handles, paint, rethinking items like old doors and converting them to things like headboards. Consider a little carpentry and DIYing to rethink your visions. Consider selling or a furniture swap. Add marble, stone, or tile to a piece to freshen up scuffs. Rethink your furniture layout. Shake it up and use existing furniture in different places. Bring outside pieces inside and vice versa. Break up the sectional, especially if it's not a good fit. Consider some modern abstract artwork to breathe new life into your newly created spaces. Re-accessorize to complete all of your ideas. All right, my design-loving friends, those are my tips for breathing new life into things that you already own. Thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you'll be able to use some of these techniques in your own spaces. And please share them with me. DM me at Kimberly Grigg Designs on Instagram. I would love to know how you've solved your own design dilemmas. And don't forget to check out my Insiders Club decorating membership, where you can access over 100 hours of video interior design training. My goal is to help you become your own interior designer, creating spaces that are beautiful but that resonate. You can find all about that at KimberlyGriggDesigns.com. All right, I'll be back next week, but until then, I like to say, don't wait. Today is a great day to decorate. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Decorate Like a Design Boss. If you want more info on how to decorate your space like a pro, visit KimberlyGriggDesigns.com. See you next week.